So hi guys, I'm sitting here with Ann Douglas. We're just going to talk a little bit about WUB and of course what Ann does, what she's bringing to the event and what she has to offer, and just get to know her a little better. So welcome.
Hi everybody, great to be here.
Good to have you. So I guess, we've known each other a little bit and don't know tons about you, but obviously did a bit of homework and what you do, and so other people might not have had the chance to research you or look up what you do or your work. I know you've been successful in your career in the space, so I guess just tell us more about what you do and what you're excited about with WUB gathering.
Well, it's always exciting to gather with like-minded, like-spirited individuals, but specifically I teach yoga and meditation and have been doing that for about 30 years, and have an area of expertise in yoga therapy. I have a thriving yoga therapy practice. My clients are from the local area as well as from all over the world. I travel and teach trainings and retreats and workshops. So many of those people that I meet at these events will call me up and have private sessions, which is fun, really fun to be able to communicate with people internationally over technology. It still blows me away. And so, but one of the focuses of the work that I do is to help people explore what I call the issues in the tissues. So what beliefs do we carry about ourselves? What conditioning do we carry that actually impacts our sense of well-being or our lack of well-being? So I have these really cool body-centered techniques that I use to help people get into their bodies and then dialogue with their bodies to unpack the message that any form of symptom may carry for them. It can be quite miraculous.
Definitely. Well, I can speak firsthand. I remember we did a session, and obviously nobody knows this but us. But, an archetype reading, and that was really powerful. And like I said, it is really cool, and I'm really excited, and a lot of people are excited to have you at the event.
Great.
I am curious, and as you said, you've been doing this 30 years or more. So what led you to that journey? I know it's been quite a while, question. But it's
well, I would say, I could probably come up with a story that led me to it, but really I think life, just the natural unfolding of life, kind of delivered me to each lesson, each opportunity. I don't think I could have orchestrated it as well as it has happened. So, but if I had to come up with a story, I would say I love nature, anything to do with nature that includes the body. I love moving my body. I was a skier from a very young age and loved all sorts of activities. So finding yoga was a natural thing for me. I had tried meditating. I've been meditating longer than I've been practicing yoga, but I found sitting still in meditation very challenging because I'm so movement oriented. And so it was actually the yoga practice that really helped me land in my meditation practice and soar in the practice. So I would say, probably stress, the challenges of life kept coming, and I needed to find some tools to help get through them personally. And I would say that meditation at a young age really helped. Both my parents passed away when I was in my early 20s, and emotionally that was very challenging for me and really launched me into the big questions of what life's all about. What's the meaning of life, and what are the tools that I need to get through it? And once I started accumulating these tools, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to share these. These have been so helpful. And then once I started sharing them with friends, and it was helpful to friends, I started exploring entrepreneurship, holistic health, holistic lifestyle coaching, And yoga therapy is this combination of an interesting package of tools that really, humbly, I say it makes a big difference in people's lives.
Sure. Yeah, no, I can relate to that. And as you know, that's why this event's happening. You know,
Right.
I've been, just before we turned the camera on, you said, well, you seem to know a lot of people or have fun. And,
Right.
and that's kind of something where I've been really lucky where, you know, you came into my life and a lot of the people come to this event and I'm just like, you know, I need to share this with people. You
Right.
know, so I can definitely relate to that.
I'm with you.
I guess I'm trying to think of my next question here. I want to dive into the movement and just kind of more specifically with WUB, because we have a couple of things you're involved in, but one I believe on the Sunday.
Tandava, yeah.
Yeah, so that's on the Sunday, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of get where you're going, but I think it's something really unique that you're doing.
It is.
And actually, we can dive into that later. But we also
Sure.
have some music that might happen with that, with Jay or
Right.
Uni. And so yeah, I'll let you
about that.
speak about that. And
Sure. Well, the Tandava, you know, interestingly, I had been doing this practice just spontaneously. It's just something that kind of developed out of my yoga practice. And actually, even as a kid, I was doing it before I studied yoga. And then when I found out there was actually a name for this, and it came out of the yoga lineage, and actually several other lineages, including Mahamudra or in the Tibetan Buddhist lineage, I was delightfully surprised, and yet not surprised. You know, most of the really cool things in life, we find them all over the world. All these incredible tools have been practiced in almost every culture because they're very intuitive and they come from the same source. So Tandava can also be called the dance of Shiva, the dance of consciousness, pure consciousness, the dance of bliss. There's many different names for it, but ultimately it is a spontaneous practice that just expresses itself as it did for me when I was a young girl, before my teens. But as a technique, we can teach it in many ways, and the way that I teach it is to use a evocative music that has it's like a baseline raga, like a drone, and then some layered drums coming in that just kind of evoke movement naturally. We don't even have to think about it. Just as if you hear this kind
that
of
right beat and you're
evocative
like, oh, I'm
music,
moving.
Exactly, it just starts to happen automatically. And so there's kind of essential movements that we use to also pull out that spontaneity or intuitive movement that, you know, little kids, you can see even on YouTube, you see these great videos of little kids at weddings where they just start bopping to the beat and start moving, and it's in them, it's in every single one of us. And the idea of this particular unique dance or a meditative movement is to bring us to our authentic expression. So it's not like yoga that is, you know, the mountain pose is this way, the warrior pose is this way, and you've got to line up this and line up that, and
structured,
there's structure, exactly. It's not like that at all, although you could bring those pieces in so that it creates safety in the movement. But more and more and more, as you get acquainted with this particular style, you throw away the structure and you just are in the spontaneous moment. And all of a sudden your hand moves this way and your leg moves that way, and you're going on the inside, oh, cool, look at that. But it's just the body spontaneously responding. It's very natural.
Cool.
But I use it by combining it with yoga poses or you know, it could even be just basic stretch poses, and I combine them in yoga. We call it a vinyasa, but it's not the vinyasa that we would traditionally know, like in vinyasa yoga. It's more creative and intuitive. But even vinyasa yoga was born out of this actual style of yoga that is very intuitive and spontaneous.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
It's I was saying, talking to Corinne the other day, I said the biggest challenge even for myself, and I think people coming is, when we have more than one workshop going on at the same time, is which one do you go to?
It's true, but I think the Tundava was offered a couple of times, so in the morning and afternoon, I can't remember.
I think we've got you in the morning, but we've definitely got you, a few
All
times.
good. But the end goal to this practice, bear with me because I think it's important to say.
Definitely.
The end goal of this practice is to help each of us find that authentic self, that spontaneous self that doesn't hold back from love, doesn't hold back from speaking up for ourselves, doesn't hold back from taking care of ourselves, setting a healthy boundary. So at first it can look like moving in dance, but more and more as the old conditioning, the inner inhibitions fall away, we're living our real, true, authentic life, and we're living our dharma. We're living the life we were born to live. And so there's an incredible sense of freedom and joy and aliveness that we end up feeling as we practice this style of yoga more and more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, actually, how my head went to. We all have our own insecurities of being in a group and dancing and moving, and whether that's in a yoga class or anywhere. I mean, we always have, and again through meditation, yoga, that's where you learn to focus more on yourself and not other people. Or many people do that. So I'm just curious, in a group setting, like, what have you seen happen, and what kind of transformations have you seen, and just what experiences have you seen come out of?
Well, I would say. First and foremost, I felt it in my own body that just, as a child, I was very shy. I was very concerned about what other people thought of me. And I was very inhibited. I was not spontaneous by any means. And so I really feel that this practice, which has been my root practice for a long time, really has helped me to come to be comfortable in any situation, or at least some degree of comfort in any situation, trusting my inner ability to meet whatever challenges show up. And I see that reflected in my students and my classes and my clients. So I would say more a spontaneous confidence.
Yeah. Getting out of your shell, right? But a little bit. And that makes sense to me, kind of owning yourself. And but unless you take that
Trusting
time
yourself
out of your day or in your life ever, it won't happen, right? So,
exactly.
I know we have limited time, so we've got so much to go over, but one of the other things I do want to talk about, you have a sleep remedy workshop, which I know a lot of personal friends and everybody's like, that's what made me go to this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are excited about it, and I know it's a huge epidemic in the world these days where, I'm sure there was a time we just went and fell asleep, and now people, I think, they're so busy and so much going on. So maybe speak more about what led to, you're obviously now leading a workshop on this and your own experience and what that's about.
Well, first of all, I had my own sleep disruption experiences several times in my life. First, when my son was born, and just the constant disruption of he was a wakeful child in a certain period, and so having to work through that and develop tools for that. And then again, later in life, when I really dove into my entrepreneurial business building experience, I just found the constant stimulation and thinking. While I loved every minute of it, I would go to bed with the monkey mind still churning, and again have to drop back into the practices that I had learned from decades before. And all the while, I had been practicing this beautiful, beautiful yogic practice called Yoga Nidra. And there's a number of different styles. The one I work with is called iRest Yoga Nidra. And actually, I travel and teach trainings for this internationally. And so this particular Nidra means sleep. And Yoga Nidra means knowing your abiding calm, no matter what's going on, no matter what state you're in, you know this imperturbable ground of peace and equanimity. So over the years, really deepening into my understanding of how this practice works, students found me, and the practice worked, and more people would find me. And so actually now I offer sleep meditations on the Simple Habit app, and I just passed 2 million listens.
I saw that. That's awesome.
Which is really cool. And do, different sleep workshops, and people come to me for private consultations, and I'll do a private recording on how people can, specifically for them, design for them and their sleep needs. So it's, again, it's just something life kind of delivered to me. I didn't plan to become a sleep guru in any way, but
what? That wasn't in one of the boxes in school?
Right.
Sleep guru.
On my career checklist.
It's funny, I kind of going back to what you said earlier, this, to phrase it a little differently, but this kind of divine truth, like you said, these practices that have been all over the world in these different cultures, and I find it, I don't think I forgot to tell you this already, but my daughter has been listening to your sleep meditation on the Simple Habit app, which is, this isn't necessarily a plug or anything, but it's just,
Well, it warms my heart. That's the bottom line. Why we do these kind of things, because it changes people's lives. And
well, it's neat to see, especially in children, how intuitive are, because they've, I found through my own practices a lot of unlearning what I've learned, right? And that goes for many people. Whereas when you're 9 or 10 years old, it's really easy. You don't know any different.
Right.
So for her, it's just really easy to.
Rats. Well, we'll pause for a second.
Take a quick little breathe.
And we've got 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it's neat to see in kids and any of us, like you said, all of a sudden you don't know why these things resonate with you. And with kids, it's really neat to see how they just pick it up, and it's just this natural, where she's been bugging me. Can you put that on? I'm like, do you want the rain noise? Do you want this? Or put that meditation on. So
cool.
And then they change their minds and do other things too, and then they go back to it. But it's just really neat to see how much it, just that unlearned brain, or the learning brain, let's call it, is open to.
They're so receptive.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's wonderful to have a parent like you that exposes them to these kind of tools that could be lifelong tools.
Definitely, yeah, it really is, and I think even, that hits home for me and her. Anybody else who might be coming who has kids, and I know the challenge is how to get a babysitter and come to the event and all that, but it's really that filling yourself up to have those tools and have that space and be full for yourself, because if you don't have the tools, well, your kids aren't going to have the tools, and so on, right? And so it's really neat. Diving into that. Cool. I'm trying to think what else we can talk about here. Like I said, we could talk for days. So, Is there anything you'd want people to know about yourself, or? No, it's a tricky one, right? You're looking at me like, why'd you ask me that?
No, not at all. Well, you did. You had said maybe I should be prepared to share what my animal totem is.
We can dive into that if you want.
Unless there's something else you want to ask.
Let's dive into that, and then we've got a couple other questions we can maybe talk more about the event. But really, this is to learn more about you and build that community and connection. And what would you? What's your spirit animal or your animal totem?
Well, I'm not sure on the terminology, but I went to Manfred in the Cochrane area and he did retrieve my animal totem, I think he called it, and it was a deer. Okay. So the deer is gentle, kind, loving. That's cool. Sort of the nature of it.
Makes sense considering what you do.
Yeah. Felt right.
I guess my next question is for anybody who's looking like, why do they keep talking about spirit animals and totem animals and all these things? And everybody has their own definition, like you said. But for anybody who's going, what the hell are they talking about? How would you define that, or just in kind of simple terms?
Well, it's like I think of it as an ally. There's a Athena, the goddess Athena, always had her ally, the owl that was sitting on her shoulder, whispering into her ear, advising her wisely as a representative of the divine. And these earth animals are just such graceful and pure expressions of nature. And we are nature. Mm-hmm. No other than any other animal on the planet. But they express themselves so truly that, and we can get so encumbered by our conditioning and stories of who we take ourselves to be, when we can see ourselves through an animal totem and recognize the behaviors of an animal and see that as a reflection of who we are, I think it can give us a really beautiful window into the essence of who we are as an individual and how we're meant to express or be in community, however, in life.
No, that's a good definition, and for me, it's actually really interesting. I'm definitely going to ask this question more on what people's definition is, because again, it's so our own journeys are our own journeys, and our definitions of our lives and everything that comes through it. And, there's similar context to a lot of it, but it's different for all of us. So it's a neat thing to dive into. Guys are both over there doing the
the hula,
doing the hustle over there.
I dance now.
Just really quick, because I know we're running out of time, but what do you? A couple questions, I guess, and you can answer them however you want. I'll ask them both, and then go where you want. And so, who are you most excited to see? And we've talked about this in some of the other interviews, is that you'll actually be at the event and taking part and involved and interacting with the community. So is there anybody in particular or anything about the event that you're most excited for?
Well, I always love the musicians. I'm excited about that, and it's always so cool to see how that natural every human being, regardless of how they think of themselves as a dancer, every human being is hardwired to respond to music. Mm-hmm. And so when we come together with music as the central piece, it's always exciting to see how that unfolds. And it sounds like there's some really cool musicians lined up, so I'm excited about that. And then the thing that I'm excited about most is really, we talked about it in our original conversation, the connection, that of all of these like-minded people that are gathering. You're calling it a gathering, and life is so hectic, so full, and we don't often have choice in that full catastrophe living as to who we're moving with, blending with in our daily lives. But when we come to these kind of events, these are people that are taking time out of their lives to make this a priority, whether it's self-care, nature, well-being, life celebration, spirituality, fitness, whatever it is. There's this common bond with everybody. So the connections that can be made are really cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we've definitely got a lot to think about and got to know you a little better. Like I said, we could talk for a long time, but we'll wrap it up. And pleasure chatting with you as always, and looking forward to more.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Thanks.
Yay. Awesome. Aw, thanks, Paul. Yeah. So cool what you're doing.
We're doing.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
That was a good interview.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes,
Good. I'm so glad.
I don't know.